finished a vid, and it was about world peace, 2020 world peace. I didn't actually have to do very much to it because the original recording was already there. I just had to find images. While I was looking for images, on Google, and all you do is I would just listen to the words and then just search for various key phrases in Google for any images, and then just slap them onto the to make a video. It's not very good. But there was an image that I found, which I'm almost tempted to put on this, but it's so I could not believe the image. Because I don't look at the news that much, and I don't read newspapers. It's actually quite rare that I see such images, because I don't want to be desensitized to what is going on in the world, and the best way to do that is to be aware that it's going on, but not to actually pay attention to it. It's not blocking off at all. I'm not protecting myself. I'm just not wanting to be desensitized. Because most people are looking at these things like, okay, this is about hunger, and they see images of people, and they go, because they see it in the news maybe twice a day, or see it in newspapers occasionally. It's just like, and then they see another image, a few months later, it comes back into circulation, it becomes a topical point in the news or something. People just become desensitized to the actual event. I don't want to be. Because producing the video was really nice. I mean, to even think about the possibility of world peace, to actually think of practical ways by which it may actually occur, is actually really nice. And I had a very uplifting time in my life for several years, just thinking these things and then putting them into action. The difficulty occurs when you actually engage people, because they cannot conceive it. They cannot allow themselves to open up themselves mentally, and perhaps, with their heart, to what is actually going on. So what I do is if, for example, I went to my friends and just said, look at this image. Look at this one. I mean, I did this video. Look at this image. I can present it here. Look at that image. What are you meant to do with it? You're not ready for it. You're not asking for it. I mean, my friends are getting on with the word. They don't want to see this image. What are they going to do? They look at the image and they go, and they're confronted with something. They're confronted with themselves. Maybe they're inured to it. No, they're going to some aspect of themselves is going to go, that's shocking. But then they'll compensate for that because there's lots of shocking things in their life, and they've got to get on with their lives, and life goes on. And then, of course, the fact that I'm presenting them with this thing. Think about news and everything else. You can switch it on and switch it off. If somebody comes along and goes, look at this, what do you do? And so there's a confrontation of ego. It's like, why is this person doing this? So you can't present even something like that. And this is where the edge is. The edge is trying to present people with things, allowing them, encouraging them to have the confidence to become sensitive, to open themselves up to what's actually happening, without them responding by, wait a minute, why are you doing this? Do you see? They have to be ready to receive that. They have to be ready to open it up. So I can't present it in this video. If you're interested, go to Google, put in hunger. Put in hunger. There is one image, I don't know if it's the first lot or the second lot. It's outrageous. It is outrageous. And what do you do with that? What do you do with that experience? I mean, if it's nothing to do with me, and I'm not going, oh, look at this, and it's you, and you're just looking at this thing, I don't know what to do about that. And the only way that I can think is by waiting by continuing the ideal realistically and waiting for people to go, I think that makes sense. Or, okay, how? And asking, how? How is this possible? I'm kind of concerned for other things. I'm not really that concerned for I'm going to have to say it, neuroses. They're not neuroses, they're genuine feelings that people have. It's just about things that are virtual, more virtual. What do I mean by that? Well, it's between people. It's this kind of relationship thing. It's like, what do I feel? What do you think about me? What do I think about you? That level. That level. It's very, 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 very genuine. Very, 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 very small. Not to the people involved, but it is ultimately very small. It's very closely related to my, I, ego, my love, what my person, what my friend thinks, and so on. This image is of another person. It's another part of the planet. It's not mine. It's not mine. And yet, there is obviously a response that I have towards that. And I wish to honour that more. And then there's lots of people, maybe a few people, that are taking a stand alone. And when they take a stand alone, not together in a group and getting that kind of herd mentality, that's the problem about most of the society. But we're actually strong and independent in our friendship groups. That's all we need. But we do need people in individual, like friendship groups and so on, to stand strong. And that's what, again, like YouTube, the internet, it allows us to communicate with other people who are standing strong. Not by being in a group. Convinced that people can only be understood really fully if you are them. If you lived inside their heads for the entire life that they had, then you go, wow, this is why this person works, and this is why this person behaves, and this is why this person says this and that. We can't have that. You get pretty close if you're married to somebody, then you get pretty close to understanding why they do things. But we don't have that. But we can get quite close with our conversations if we listen, and that's why YouTube is good. It's not like telephones, it's not like video conferencing. You have time to listen. You can switch it on. You can't respond. You just kind of listen. After a while, if you see enough of another human being's explanation of what they're doing, and we trust that other human being to be able, and what they're saying and what they're doing seems to match, then we say, hey, I think I understand another human being. We don't do it by arguing. We don't do it, and this is why discussion, argument, telephones, and even video conferencing, what happens is that you hear something and then you disagree with it, and it stays in this very shallow level. And I've only been able to get into fairly substantial conversations, having intense conversations with people, and usually that's one-on-one. Or things like in a group, things called listening evenings, or I did another thing called Open Mind. And it's just a matter of agreeing to focus attention on the person who's talking, not to analyse and argue and dissect and analyse, but to follow what the person is saying. Because what they believe and what they're saying is true. And you just flick into that and you just go, okay, this person believes, okay, so and you just do that. I do this with kids all the time. And then you come back into your own existence. You go, oh, that was interesting. And then you share, and this is how we share. And this is how we communicate about deeper things. We don't communicate about these deeper things by having arguments. We communicate them by sliding in on the vibe that this other person's on. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, if anybody finds anything that I say doing any of my videos that just doesn't match, ask me. And I'm very happy to explain why it doesn't match, or why it appears to not match. Or even if it doesn't match, I'll go, oh, thank you very much.